right. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Audra.
Good morning.
Have you had some good coffee this morning already?
I'm juiced up.
She is juiced up. That's awesome. Oh, man. Well, it's good to be here with everybody. I know we're going to give it a few minutes for people that are jumping on live to jump on. But this is parenting week. And now you might be like, well, what is that all about? Well, here's what's going on. We decided that as we start in this new year, we're warming up our engines because we want to speak to the three main areas that are always on our heart. We kind of observed everything that we spoke on for the last year and a half during our lives, and it boils down to three areas. And so we thought, let's just be more organized about that so people know what to expect. Brad is awesome. He's very spontaneous. Whatever comes, he goes ahead and just teaches on it. And I'm a little more structured. And if our audience knows, okay, well, we love to hear Brad and Selena and all the Hollemans, but if we know what to expect this week, that would be better. And so I love that part. And Audra brought that to the table. I was very excited when she said that because I was like, I feel like we're kind of all over the map and I want to make it better. We're always trying to make things better. And so this is the way we made it better. So the first week of the month was relationship week. And I think it went really well.
It did.
I loved it. We had Audra and I kicked it off. And then Brad and I spoke a couple days. And then we had one of our kiddos come on here and share from her perspective, Savannah. So if you haven't been able to see those, just jump back and you can, in YouTube, they're all in order. You can jump back and see them, binge watch them if you want. Or on Facebook Live, you can just scroll through and watch them there. So speaking of YouTube, if you don't know it, our channel is The Hollemans. And you can just subscribe and like, and it will actually start to notify you and all of that every time we post something new. And so without further delay, this week is parenting week. And then next week will be discipleship, right? And what we mean by discipleship is really, how do we talk to others and help them understand the love of God? How do we talk to anybody? It can be our family members. If you're a parent, it can be your kids. If you are, an adult at work, it could be your coworkers. But it's not just, this is how you present the gospel. No, not necessarily. Everything is very relational, right? Everything is very long-term. Let's just build relationship with people, show them the love of God, really show them who we are because we are in Christ. And then after that, then as you build relationship with people, people actually trust you because they like what they see. And then they're more apt to listen when you do present, thoughts that maybe they've never had before or things from the Bible, but in a non-religious framework. And so anyway, that is one thing. And of course, then the last week of the month, we're going to do answers, like mailbag kind of a thing. Anything that you might have thought of during the month, or if we haven't already answered them during the month. Any question you have about God or your God journey, or what does this verse mean? I've always wondered. Anything like that. Brad loves questions, and I love to support him in answering those questions. And so today, Audra is going to ask me some questions, and I really appreciate that because when people ask me questions, all this stuff comes out. I'm like, that should be on the Facebook Live. That should be on our YouTube channel. And so I've actually asked her to kind of interview me so that things come to light that I don't normally talk about. And I think that's a really important backstory to why we're doing what we're doing. So take it away.
No pressure.
No pressure.
So all of you, if you don't know, Selena wrote a book, Wisdom for Littles. It came out this year in English. It was a Spanish ebook for many years.
Yeah.
So I want to start there. I remember, Selena, when you spent many a furious night in the basement
Yes.
writing this book in Spanish when the Hollemans wasn't the Hollemans.
Yeah.
It was Mamacita's Day for Dodd.
Yeah.
And you had this idea to blog and do ministry stuff and all those I mean, it feels like forever ago, actually.
It does feel like forever ago.
So where was your mind when you were writing this parenting book? What was the inspiration about why you would spend literally, I think it was almost 2 weeks, just every free moment you had?
Well, okay, so I think one of my cousins in Guatemala had just started having babies. Like, she just recently got married, and then she was starting to have babies. And it dawned on me as I was on my parenting journey, I probably had 4 kiddos by then, that that there's not a lot of material, parenting material, Christian-based parenting material in Latin America. At least when I lived there. And I grew up in Guatemala. I don't remember ever seeing a parenting book in Spanish, ever. There might have been a few translations of, you know, godly women or praying wives or things like that. But I don't ever remember anything about parenting. It wasn't even really talked about in church even. And so I thought, man, I've been diving deep into parenting now for so many years. I bet you I could help her out. So I started blogging. And the blog was in Spanish. And I thought, you know, that way people all over the world can read it, and it's easy, and you don't have to like mail anything, or you know, that's when all of that was starting to shift. That's how long ago this was. Okay, anyway, then I started so most of my blog posts, the beginning blog posts in Spanish, were all, hi cousin, right? It was a letter to my cousin. And then I had some friends in Mexico, because of course we had done missions in Mexico before I started doing this. And they were all like, man, I'm jealous with that cousin of yours. You guys sitting down to have a little cup of coffee. And, you know, actually, I'm not sure that my cousin ever read any of those blog posts.
Even today, if you're watching, cousin, blink twice.
Yeah. I don't think she actually read them. I don't know if she did. But it was a catalyst for me to start getting out all the things that God had taught me over the years. And I thought, wow, this is a lot of great stuff that even me as a young mama, starting on my motherhood journey, I would have loved to have known these things. And so after I realized she wasn't really reading it, I just kind of switched gears a little bit and just went on with, I never said, hi, dear cousin. I swapped over to, hey, friend, hola, amiga. And then people were like, why don't you translate your blog posts? I mean, you're bilingual. You might as well reach a few other people. So I thought, yeah, why don't I? So I started translating all my own blog posts, or when I would write them in both languages. And that was fun for a little while. And then I think along the way, one big thing kind of derailed me, and that is that my daughter Savannah got appendicitis, and we spent almost a month and a half in that valley of the shadow of death. It was really hard. And so at that point I stopped everything. Like I stopped everything. Our whole family had to jump into helping everything, right? I was at the hospital with her a lot, all that stuff. So I basically just kind of quit blogging and thought, well, okay. And that jumping back into doing something when you've kind of lost momentum is a little bit harder. And I just thought, well, I think I've put enough out there for now. So anyway, that's kind of how it started.
Yeah. But what was your vision? You had a vision behind even the blog. Yes, it was helping your cousin.
Yeah.
But you always have had what we're doing now.
Oh.
All of those years ago.
Well, I started noticing, I followed a gentleman by the name of Michael Hyatt, and he does a lot of leadership things. He had a blog and all the things. And I started following and realizing, you know, I grew up in a very nations-minded church. Our church in Guatemala was, I would say, one of the key players in a praise and worship revival in Latin America. And because of that, I grew up in an atmosphere where, what country are we going to next month? Where are we going to go share about the things God has shown us, you know, next month? What trips are we all taking next year? And even though I was too young to travel all the time with them, because I always had school or tests or whatever, I got to experience when God is on the move about something, you travel, you take it to the nations. So I grew up in that atmosphere. And then when I went to Bible school, we ended up doing missions at the end of that and decided to, go through their missions program and stuff. So it was all about travel to go and take things to other nations. Well, I started realizing as I read, fast forward, as I started reading some of Michael Hyatt's stuff, that there's going to come a day when traveling is not the most effective or efficient way to take things that you've learned. But with the internet and blogs and things like that, you can reach all these nations from your own home and, and living room. And that just went for me, because I thought there's no way I could ever go to all the nations. There's no way we could, we'd constantly be traveling and then we wouldn't be living necessarily, So it just made it to where the technology was there for us to share the messages that God was giving us in a big way. The other thing I would say spiritually parallel to that. So I was seeing a vehicle. I was seeing a vehicle when it came to the internet and blogging and online content. I was seeing this online platform, if you will. But at the same time, spiritually, things were churning inside of me about, that in the last days, the Lord is going to cause the fathers to turn their hearts to their children and the children to turn their hearts to their fathers. And that is going to be like the voice that ushers in the second coming. And I thought, family, ever since I was a kid, we studied in social studies about the disintegration of family and the disintegration of society, because family was the main building block of society and all this stuff. That's what I learned in Guatemala from the time I was little. And you're always hearing about the disintegration of family. And I thought, you know what? We are in the end times and our family's not disintegrated. And any unhealth that was present before is getting health, and it's getting life, and God is restoring it, and God is bringing it to pass. And I thought, there is a supernatural thing at work here that we need to just engage with. At the time, Brad was pastoring mainly. I mean, we were pastoring in Canada, but he was the one, because I had little babies at home. Yeah. So he was the one that was gone a lot. And I basically told him, hey, we need to look into this platform thing, this online stuff, because, right now we're just pastoring one church here, but we do have people that we've ministered to before in Guatemala, in Mexico, where we've lived, in places where we've gone and done missions work, like Thailand and Peru. We've been to those places to do mission stuff. And I said, if we start really focusing on this, I feel like we'll be able to stay connected with not only the people that we've reached, but maybe reach more. And I mean, he heard me. He just couldn't quite see it yet.
I think everybody was having a hard time. Nobody could see.
Nobody can see
with
it.
The internet, this thing's going to go away, right? We're going to go back to the telephone book and all the things. I don't think anybody foresaw where the internet was going.
Yeah, and yet everything I read was pointing in that direction. Yeah. So I was just like, guys, look over here. Anyway, so that took a little while, but so my vision has always been, I want us to be able to reach people all over the place, all over. Like, we have people that graduated with us from Bible school all over the world. And it would be so fun to be able to just connect with them or the people that they love on. And everybody needs the messages that we have, that they have. And so being able to just have that available, right? That's kind of that's the overview, I guess.
Yeah, and then we have to help you along with making your English self and your Spanish self friends.
You guys. So, for a very long time, I had a different personality in Spanish than I did in English, just because I grew up speaking Spanish. I grew up in a Spanish culture, in a Spanish atmosphere. And so, I am way more playful and funny and
That's true.
Crazy.
I don't speak Spanish, but I hear. I've heard rumors. I've seen the laughter.
And in English, it was always kind of grown-up world and very much more formal, and you're on display for performance, and so you better act right kind of a thing. And so I don't know, it's taken me a while to have those two be more congruent. And but yeah, because I started by writing that ebook, and that was a huge first step. Just the Spanish ebook on Amazon, and I thought, well, this will be great because then they can access the information. They can access the information without me having to ship stuff, and for them to buy and pay more money. Except nobody in Latin America does Kindle. And I was like, oh, lesson learned. So from there on out, and I remember the Lord distinctly telling me, you can do that this time, but after that, I want you to start your own publishing company. And I thought, at that time, I'm like, oh, okay, let's just finish this. And I did, and I put it out there and published it, and I think it got a couple of downloads. And so I was like, oh, well. Then a friend of ours in Mexico City, that was actually one of our students from Rema, Mexico, where we were, and in leadership in our church where we were there, he had a printing shop, and so he printed the book in Spanish, and that's what we just went to go and get not too long ago, and I brought it home. So now I have the physical copy of the Spanish book. But what Audra's referring to is I kept saying, guys, we need to start doing something in English, and Brad's like, you already have a book, just translate it. And I was like, I didn't write it for an English audience. I don't know that I can do that. And he's like, why not? And I mean, the Lord is so good because he'll bring up all kinds of fears that hold us back. And I just thought I wasn't good enough. That there's so much other amazing parenting stuff out there that why would anybody want, whatever. And so he had to help me with that in a big way. And the Lord's so faithful and patient and kind. And
does this.
Yeah. And then nudge. Let's go. Keep going.
I hear you. I see it.
Yeah.
Do it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just keep going, please. And so eventually what we ended up doing, believe it or not, I still could not bring myself to sit down and translate my own work, simply because I had such a disparity with who I was in Spanish and who I was in English. And I was like, these are two different people. I can't. So we put it through Google Translate, and then I edited it. and then as far as like that makes grammatical sense in the English, yes, that's what I was kind of trying to convey. And then Audra did the rest because she was awesome. Yeah, you were awesome with that.
Oh.
Because she understood where I was coming from. It wasn't just, all right, hand it over, I'll edit it,
No. Well, we just had to help her find her voice. That's a big deal when you're writing. You have to find your voice and be okay with it and get it out there.
Yeah.
But that's the first book. So that's the journey of the first book.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So here it is.
Have y'all seen some of the videos we did with Selah? And I'm about to post one of Courage. And they're doing like the little sales ad, if you will. They're so cute. They were so excited. That was Audra's idea. So I was so thankful.
Yeah, but we're just saying too, if you have an idea, just someone's going to be like, you just need to get going. This was literally 12 years in the making.
Yeah.
This was us discovering our platform and coming into it. This was the writing of a book, the translations of a book. This was waiting through COVID when everything got canceled.
Yes.
And we had plans and tickets, and Sophia and Selena were going.
Yes.
And you just have to keep going. And now we're doing a lot more. And I just want to plug, yes, the first book, you can go watch the videos. You can go to thehollemans.com, take advantage of the book, of the bundle with the toolbox. All the prices are on the website. Just check it out if you're looking for Christmas presents. But also, it's hard to believe that we're writing a second book.
I know.
I say we. There's not a mouse in my pocket. She's writing a second book. I'm sure I'll help her along. But the family is moving forward. I say we. We view this as a family vision thing.
This is a family vision thing.
So
let me tell you. So like the cover on here, all these, the art, Sophia did that because she's good at digital art. And I was so thrilled. I wanted our family to everybody be involved. So she did that, and then Audra did all the editing, and Brad cheered me on. So there you go.
So the second book, I think we were saying I think we're workshopping names. Wisdom for the Middle Years.
Yes. This one is 0 to 6 years. That one's gonna be like a little overlap 6 to 12.
Yeah, and so my thing to you is, you guys are our audience, people we're writing to. We're doing all this to help lots of people, but especially those who for so many faithful years have been watching, following the blogs, all the things, know our family, where we're at. And so we have a rough outline, but I would love for this week, just while they're doing parenting, if you have questions about the first book, things you want Selena to talk about, and specifics if you've read it, or just questions you have about parenting littles. But also, if you have kids from 6 to 12, what are the things that you're seeking wisdom on?
Right.
What are the things that you want to see, like, talked about, that you've never seen in a parenting book, or never seen explained in a way that didn't feel like you're sitting in Sunday school? Or
Right. Yes.
Because that's a big deal to me. When I read this, I was like, I don't feel like Focus on the Family, we love you. It's not like listen to Focus on the Family or sit in a Sunday school class where, and Jesus is always the answer, but it's like, Jesus. And there's like no practical, like, I understand Jesus is the answer, but what do I do?
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Yeah.
So everything's in perspective, but if you have any questions like that, be letting us know. For the mailbag, yes, but also for the book, because we're working on the outline of the second book.
Yeah.
Because we're wanting to get that done next year.
Yes.
So and then they're gonna have a third one that's just gonna be wisdom for parenting into the adult years.
Yes.
And that's gonna be 12 to 18. We're moving. This is a series of books.
Absolutely.
So even if you have ideas about that, say you have somebody heading into there and you want us, just
that one might be for the following year.
No, not next year, but I'm just saying, send us your questions.
Yes, because that helps us map everything out.
The sooner we know questions, the more we know how to like gear what we're talking about. Because I'm an adult, Sophia's an adult, Savannah, Caleb are an adult. Even if we're not going to write the book, we can answer your questions. This is what the mailbag is for, what Parenting Week is for.
Yes.
All the different weeks are so we can be specific to what's on your heart to know more about.
Yes. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because I know a lot of times you're waiting, when can we talk about that? That's not a good time. And so just ask. You're waiting for somebody to help. You're waiting for somebody to offer you advice, and maybe you don't know who to ask. Well, you feel free to ask us.
Yeah, feel free. How do we do that? You can just write a comment. Write a comment, or you can message us. You can message me personally through Facebook Messenger if you don't have my phone number, kind of a thing, right? So we can do it that way. The kids are excited because in this next book, they're all going to have a say. Like, they're all going to actually write a little segment in there from their perspective. Because I feel like if it's one-sided, oh, that's nice, Mom and Dad. Of course you say that. And then what do the kids say, right? And so I think it's good to have both perspectives in there.
Yeah, it's going to be even more of a family project.
Yes.
You're going to notice every project becomes a little bit more geared to our family. In our voices, so
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little backstory. Audra, thank you for doing such a great job drawing things out of me, because I probably wouldn't have thought of half the stuff to share.
Okay, so if you ever want Selena to talk, here's what you have to do. You have to ask the right questions.
Okay.
You have to sit here respectfully with your coffee.
There you go.
Just give her a few minutes.
And I'll warm up engines and
because she is very polite, very nice, and she's not gonna answer. And I don't know, what would I possibly say?
Watch it.
I mean that with all the love in my heart, but she's just very polite, and it can take a little bit more for her to feel like, oh, I can say that. Okay, cool. Here
it's
we
the
are.
Guatemalan in me.
So, you're welcome.
Oh, that's awesome. This was great. This was great. So I hope you enjoyed it. Do share this with any, anybody who's been on a project for a while. I think this will just encourage them, whatever kind of project it is. I think it'll just encourage them to realize, wow, that was quite the process. It wasn't just, I think I'm going to write a book. And then poof, next week you have a book. No, that's your first one. No. After that, it gets a lot, things start flowing. You now know kind of what you're doing. But I just share these videos out. If you think it'll bless somebody in your world, please, that's what these are for. That's why they're always public. They're always out there to encourage others, because it says in the word that creation is waiting for the manifestation of the children of God. And we need to bring what we have. We need to actually show up with whatever God has put inside of us. And that takes process. And so if we can inspire and encourage anybody, let's do that, right? Because everybody needs to hear what you have in your heart. So thank you so much for joining us. Do you have anything else that we need to?
No, I think we covered it all. Just go to thehollimans.com if you want to check out our products for Christmas and the sales that are going on.
Just go to shop up there on the little thing.
And you can give at thehollimans.com as well.
Yes.
All of that you can find on the website.
Yes.
And just check it out. Let us know what you think. Let us know what we can add to make it better too. We're always working on that.
Yes, absolutely. And we will see you tomorrow talking a bit more about parenting. And sometime this week, we will make sure we have one or more of our kids talking about what they think about our parenting. So we are so thankful that you joined us today, and we'll see you soon.